America's ultimate deal maker, says we're the ones in the best deal-making position. And we're the ones who should be calling the shots. And tonight, it's time we start acting like it. Donald Trump on the phone with me right now. Mr. Trump, very good to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Neil.
What do you, Meg, I mean, as we watch this delegation get ready, Vice President Biden and others, to greet the Chinese president upon his arrival, we always tend to go to him hat in hand because, quite literally, we owe him a lot of money.
China is in such trouble without us. We're rebuilding China, and we are the ones that have the power. Now, we're rapidly losing that power because they're going to be taking things over. But we're the ones with all the power because they're making our products. They're rebuilding their cities with the money that we have and the jobs that they have, and it's an absolute outrage. And then the president of China comes here, and we greet him, and Obama will drop to his knees and kiss his hand, and I don't get it.
No, wait a minute. Donald, I love you, dear. The president's not going to drop to his knees and kiss his hand.
Let's see what happens. He's done that before.
No. Careful. Donald, this is a family show. But what we're saying is you think that we are always feeling beholden to the Chinese when we hold a lot of the chits. What are those chits?
Well, first of all, they're manipulating their currency to a point where it's very, very hard for us to compete with that currency. And I know because I'm a very big builder, and so many of the products that I order, unfortunately, come from China because our companies can't compete in terms of glass and many other products. They can't compete with what China's doing. And by the way, now they're trying to take the airline industry away, and the airline manufacturing industry. Wait till you see what happens to Boeing over the next 5 or 6 years, because you see that happening right now. What I'm saying is this. They have totally taken advantage of this country, and instead of having fancy dinners for the president of China, I think our president should sit down and really have a heart-to-heart talk, because we are in big trouble if this country keeps dealing not only with China, but with OPEC and others the way they're dealing.
How would you, if you were president, Donald, and a lot of people I know have been urging you to run for president, but how would you deal with that if China is subtly saying, you know, you give us any grief, we pull some more out?
The problem is the Chinese do not respect us. They don't respect our leaders. They can't believe with what they're getting away with. They don't respect us, Neil. What we should do immediately is tax their product. They're making hundreds of billions of dollars a year on us. We should tax their products immediately. Between all of the things they're doing, including the manipulation, we should tax their product, and they can be our banker because we'll pay off those so-called loans so quickly your head will spin. Frankly, I would have told the Chinese not to come for this wonderful state visit where they'll outsmart our people consistently and again. I would say don't come until they stop with the manipulation, until they've raised the value of their currency so that our companies can compete. How can we solve our unemployment problem? And we have a big one, and it's going to last, as you know. Ben Bernanke said the other day 5 or 6 more years, but I disagree. I think it's going to be much longer because China and other countries are taking all of our jobs. So we have to be much different in our attitude. And frankly, we need fair trade, not free trade. We need fair trade, and right now it's not fair.
Do you think our options are increasingly limited because of how much money we owe? In other words, we're in deep, and as a result, we're in deep to these guys.
We get deeper and deeper, and we get weaker and weaker, and something has to happen now. We don't have the luxury of waiting years. Something has to happen now. Why did we send an entire fleet, including one of the largest aircraft carriers in the world, to North Korea to protect South Korea without them paying us? Why aren't they paying us for this protection? They make hundreds of billions of dollars a year on us, and then we just send our fleet over there to protect them. For what reason? Why are we protecting them? Let them pay. Let them pay for protection.
Let's say you were the president. I don't know who your vice president would be. I think anyone would be afraid of serving with you, but that's a separate issue. But let's say you were there to greet him. He comes off the plane. What would be the first thing you'd say? Not that you would be greeting him, but what's the first thing you'd say?
I'd bring him to my office, and I'd sit down and start negotiating. I wouldn't worry about state dinners. The state dinner is just, frankly, a waste of time and effort. I would bring him to my office, and we negotiate. And if he doesn't want to negotiate in good faith, I respectfully say, that's it. Enjoy Disney World if you want to stay that long. They tell me that they cannot believe. Now, they didn't know I'd be thinking about doing the presidential thing, but they tell me that they do not believe what they're able to get away with. They do not believe the stupidity of our leaders.
So you think that they're just thinking we're a joke?
I don't think it. I know it.
But then again, if they're getting rich doing so, who's going to buy your fancy schmancy apartments?
I don't worry about that. I have much bigger things on my plate, I must tell you.
You're going to run. You know, you're going to run for president.
I don't know. Let's see what happens. I'll let you know sometime prior to June. But I will tell you that this country, if I do and if I win, this country will be respected again. We are not respected. We're laughed at by the world.